Well, it's Wednesday, and you all know what that means. That means, as you know, AEW Dynamite are on their go home show before this coming weekend on this Sunday for Forbidden Door. So anything could happen before then. So we have plenty of things are going to be surprised that will lead up to that as well. But first things first, we're going to be reviewing the latest GLEAT event, G Pro Wrestling version 73, Kaz Hayashi retirement road to Osaka. This is, of course, the last final time I believe we're going to see Kaz Hayashi, who will be retiring. So he will be involved in a gauntlet match against many wrestlers from their respective factions or independent wrestlers as well. So that's going to be a real bit of a fun match as well. Then we cap up our episode with, of course, with some news updates to give you guys updates what's been happening in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling, such as, of course, wrestlers have been signed, wrestlers have been injured, or getting marriage, everything we can get our hands on. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here on the United States, also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If some information I'm unable to put it on this episode, I can put it on a separate video by itself. We also do real-timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also do the Naga Sayaka Watch and various other cool things as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us. So click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, with all introductions set aside, I believe it's time for me to stop yapping. Let's get boogie. Alright, GLEAT with G Pro Wrestling version the 73. This took place recently, this past Sunday, in Osaka, Japan. This is, of course, the final appearance of Kaz Hayashi, a veteran wrestler who has been around for for a long time, and he recently, not too long ago, announced his retirement. But his final accomplishment was winning the G Infinity Tag Titles with the man, the myth, the legend, Shima. So basically, this will be the last time we see him. So he will be in a gauntlet match with various wrestlers by the end of this entire review. So let's start from the very beginning, from here on out. Our first match, we have, of course, the leader of Bulk Orchestra, Ryuki Kawakami, takes on Ender Kara. Now, if those who don't know who he is, Ender Kara, he's been appearing in promotions such as Big Japan Pro Wrestling and all this and that. Many of you may have seen him in Choco Pro before. So yeah, he's basically a foreign wrestler who makes his appearance. But however, it was Kawakami who picked up the win when he applied a nice big lariat onto him in order for him to pick up the win. Next up, we have, of course, a tag team match. We got the guys from DDT, more specifically Yuya Koroku and, of course, Yuki Ino. He takes on Bulk Orchestra members Kazuma Sakamoto and Hayato Tamura. Now, don't forget, it was, of course, Yuki Ino who picked up the win in order to challenge for the G-Rex title against Tamura. So basically, we will see that. So this is a bit of a preview. However, it was, of course, Tamura with a running muscle buster onto Kodoku in order to pick up the win. So that's how this whole thing ends. However, we'll get an opportunity for the G-Rex title. So we will see when that day happens. Now, our next match, we have Takanori Ito and Riki Aikata. No, Aitaka, I think that's his name. They take on Minoru Tanaka and Seichi Ikimoto. So, interesting developments of this match. Now, many of these guys have a bit of a kind of a martial arts background. They do use UFWS. They have like a bit of a technical aspects on this, but it sits perfectly very well in this. However, this particular match ended with, of course, Ito applying a brainbuster onto Ikimoto in order to pick up the win for him and for his tag partner. Next up, we have a very interesting six-man tag match. We have Junji, Esi Onisuka, and Michiko. They take on Magnitude Kishiwada, Gamma, and Shima. So interesting to see Gamma being around, who also knows Hayashi. So there was a moment in this particular match where Michiko accidentally misfired onto Onisuka while he was being a pain in the butt to her earlier before the match even started. But in the end, of course, it was a somewhat of a modified crucifix by Gamma that allowed him to pick up the win. Now, as you all know, I mentioned this a while back, Shima is now the new DDT Iron Man Heavy Metalweight Champion. Now, those who know this or not, well, the Iron Man Heavy Metalweight Championship is a 24/7 belt, kind of like the hardcore belt, but anybody could win it at any given time, any given place, or any object could win as well. Well, Shima, on the other hand, he should have known that this was going to happen. Michiko tried to take advantage of him, but apparently Shima got out of it as soon as possible and made his way to escape. So now he has to have eyes in the back of his head or think twice on who will challenge, who will try to take away this belt from him. So we'll see what happens. Now, our next match, we have Takuma and SBK take on Jun Tonsho and Soma Watanabe. Now, Tonsho and Watanabe have been teaming for quite some time, but however, in the early days, they never did get along very well until now. But that things might have changed. Apparently, there was a misfire coming from Watanabe to Tonsho when he was trying to kick one of the guys' head off, but he missed. But unfortunately, this match ended with, with SBK applying the sharpshooter onto Tonsho to give himself and Takuma the win. However, by the post match, Tonsho wasn't having it, so he decided to just walk away, knowing that he wasn't going to deal with Watanabe for what he just did. I know Watanabe feels guilty about it, but we'll see what happens down the future road with them. Now, our last match before we get to the Gauntlet match, we have the guys from Strong Hearts, El Lindaman, Seki Yoshioka, Takehiro Yamamura, and T-Hawk taking on BGI's Kotaro Suzuki, Tetsuya Izushi, Hartley Jackson, and Kaito Ishida. So basically, of course, BGI made the first move and attacked Strong Hearts in the process. But I have to say the one person that impressed me the most was Yamamura. He was taking every hit that everybody in BGI tried to hit on him, but he had a lot of heart. But unfortunately, it was Suzuki who took him out with his finisher, then pin him 1, 2, 3, and just like that, it was over. Now, our last and final match is a gauntlet match for the Kaz Hayashi retirement. Now, this is a very interesting gauntlet match. So there will be at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 opponents that he'll be facing. However, here's Here's the deal. Each match has a limit of 3 minutes. That's right. So they only have 3 minutes in order to pick up the win. Now, if the match ends in a time limit draw, well, that's how it ends. There's no restart or nothing. So, but the match can be won by submission or pinfall. Now, the first opponent that Kaz Hayashi faced was none other than Soma Watanabe. Thought the match was pretty good, but however, um, Watanabe did not have the ability to put him away. It ended with a time limit draw of 3 minutes. The next person coming is Issei Onizuka. Of course, they had bumped into each other many times in the past, but unfortunately for him, just like Watanabe, it ended in a time limit draw of 3 minutes. Next up, we have El Linda Man from Strong Hearts. Of course, in the back of my mind, I would have thought that he would have beaten, of course, Hayashi for this one match because he's the strongest individual I know. But however, much of Hayashi he could barely hold on, so he was able to withstand him after 3 minutes of time limit draw, so he does not win or lose. The next match is, of course, Kaito Ishida. Now, Ishida, he will love nothing more to put Hayashi out of misery, but however, that did not do any well because Hayashi picked up a win when he pinned him. Of course, Ishida was not happy. He probably is crying like a little bitch about it, knowing too well. So, that's what's happening. Now, his next opponent is Tetsuya Izushi. Well, Izushi, he's a cocky little bugger, I can tell you that. But unfortunately, because his boss, Ishida, did not beat Hayashi because he lost to him, he also ended with the other 3 matches with, of course, a time limit draw. Next up, we have Hayato Tamura. Now, Hayato Tamura, he is one of the strongest wrestlers ever, and he is the current G-Rex champion. So basically, you would have assumed he would have picked up the win, but unfortunately, he got a little too carried away when he had Hayashi right where he wanted him, but he picked up his head. That was his mistake, and this match ended in a time limit draw. Now, next, our main event, then our last match, we have him taking on Jinsei Shinzaki. You may have seen him before. He's a veteran wrestler that has like this look like he came from the dead or something. But just like any other match, this match ended also in a 3-minute time limit draw. So basically, that's pretty much it with Hayashi. He gave out a very strong promo, and of course, he got the send-off from those who were in the ring with him. So he will be missed. I mean, he was a real fun wrestler to watch, but we'll see. Hopefully, we get to see him again somewhere down the road. So thanks, Hayashi. So we'll see you next time, bud. And I think right now we are done with GLEAT, so let's move on with AEW Dynamite. Alright, AEW Dynamite. This is the go home show before we head to Forbidden Door this coming Sunday. Now, our opening part of the show, we have MJF coming out to do his little promo. Now, before anything else, he tries to proceed. He was visited by Daniel Garcia. As you know, they were in Buffalo, New York. So, in fact, that's where Daniel Garcia is from. So basically, he had some things to say, nice things to say about MJF, and that sets it all up. And of course, MJF thought the same thing too. Now, they did have a match over for the AEW World Title. However, basically they complimenting on each other regardless of anything. So MJF thought of a very interesting opportunity for Daniel Garcia. He thought, how about we take this into a much bigger stage? You and me, one-on-one at Wembley Stadium, all in. And of course, that's what he wants. However, he was interrupted by none other than the aerial assassin, the current AEW International Champion, Will Ospreay. So, much like Will Ospreay, he said some nice things about Daniel Garcia, but I'm sure MJF, who doesn't think of him that he's the best, well, we'll see what happens until then. But don't forget, Will Ospreay will defend his the AEW International Championship at the next week, right after Forbidden Door. Now, while this was happening, Swerve Strickland showed up. He doesn't think that Will Ospreay has what it takes to carry the company behind his back, but he did say that hopefully he can coexist with them as his partner. But we'll see about that, because that will be our main event. Now, our first match of the night, we have the BCC taking on a BCC consisting of Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, and our current IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Jon Moxley taking on Los Ingorbenables de Japón, Hiromu Takahashi, Shingo Takagi, and Titan. Now, the match was pretty good, I'm not going to lie. I mean, of course, Bryan Danielson was there watching this in the commentary section, so that's set. However, things got a little out of hand. Moxley grabbed the chair and whacked Hiromu, and resulted of the match being disqualified. However, I wasn't too sure yet if this match was revealed to be either a no contest or LIJ won. Well, according to what I'm hearing, LIJ won this match. But Tetsuya Naito showed up, of course, his opponent for Forbidden Door. So that's going to be a very interesting thing to happen. However, of course, Shingo Takagi was attempting to take out Wheeler Yuta, and then Bryan Danielson tried to intervene, but we will see what happens with these two. As you know, they are in the opening round of the Owen Hart tournament, so we'll see what happens until then. Now, our next match, we have part of the Owen Hart Foundation tournament, Jay White versus Rey Fenix. Now, of course, things got out of hand before anything could begin. The seconds from both sides. Of course, Phoenix has his brother Penta, Alex Brahamontes, while Jay White has, of course, the Bang Bang Gang by his side. Rick Knox interjected them out of the arena, out of the ringside, so it had no other choice. However, there was no interference, but there were pretty much counters in this match. You know, Jay White has ways to counter whatever opponent is trying to take him out, and that's exactly what he did when he put him away with the Blade Runner, allowing himself to advance. However, we did see the Bang Bang Gang made their way to the ring. However, after that, Christian Cage, along with his cohorts, showed up, because we know Christian Cage has one thing in mind, and that is the Trios belt. So we'll see what happens. So that's going to be a real interesting to watch. Now, the Young Bucks, as you know, were not too pleased what happened last week in the Eliminator match. So that means that the Acclaim will get an opportunity of the AEW World titles. Now, they never mentioned when, but however, they had another set of business they had set up. As you know, they are trying to determine, they are the ones that control AEW, so they said that they chosen their wild card at for the Owen Hart Foundation, and that person is someone they pick. Now, many fans are now speculating it could be Hangman, because that's what they do. But a part of me would think if it is Hangman, I would think something is going to go wrong out of their favor. But we'll see what happens. Now, meanwhile, the Acclaim, along with Daddy Ass, made their way to the ring and talk about what they're going to do until the Elite showed up. However, they decided to put themselves in a match at Forbidden Door, the three of them, Okada and the Bucks, to take on Daddy Ass and, of course, the Acclaim. However, Daddy Ass says that he actually negotiated with one who is a president, and that president is none other than Tanahashi. That's right, Tanahashi is teaming up with the Acclaim, and he calls himself the Scissor Ace. So that's going to be fun to watch. I can't wait to see what happens. But of course, the Bucks might have bit off more than they can chew, but Okada doesn't seem too concerned. But we'll see what happens. Now, we do see a very interesting interview with Renee Paquette. She talks to the conglomerate, more specifically Orange Cassidy, Mark Briscoe, and Kyle O'Reilly. Now, Kyle O'Reilly tried to act like Briscoe and all that, like the way he talked, but he asked Briscoe, how, was that off? I like it. So he told him, you could have done this and that. I feel like Briscoe and Kyle O'Reilly can get along very well. So that's a pretty good thing to watch. Now, our next match, we have a women's six-man tag match. We have Toni Storm, Mariah May, and Mina Shirakawa taking on Anna Jay, Harley Cameron, and Saraya. Now, don't forget, of course, Saraya has issues towards Toni Storm. If you guys remember, things didn't go exactly her way. But the way I see it, we we don't know how things will end up with Mina and Toni Storm, because they will meet each other at, of course, the Forbidden Door. But it was Mina that picked up the win with the Mina driver and just onto Harley Cameron and just picking up the win. However, during the post match, while they were having a bit of champagne, Mina was attempting to whack Toni Storm in the back of the head, but instead she got Mariah May by accident. Toni Storm pulled her in, and just like that, it was over. And of course, Toni Storm put the blame onto Mina. Now, many people are now speculating that Mina will be screwed for this belt and this opportunity during the match, and Mariah will turn on her. But anything is a possibility, so we will see what happens from here on out. Now, as you know, Mercedes Moné will be facing at Forbidden Door Stephanie Vakir for the New Japan Strong Women's title. She said she will be present when Stephanie makes her AEW Collision debut. She'll be at the commentary booth watching this match very, very closely. And I'm sure Stephanie Vakir will be paying attention if she does there. Now, we do see a little segment in the ring coming from the learning tree. So basically, once again, with their thing, apparently Jericho, in the other hand, he was thinking about bringing Minoru Suzuki to be once again his tag partner, but things didn't go exactly his way. It appears that Minoru Suzuki felt that Chris Jericho has been dodging him, basically saying he wants to challenge him for the FTW title and all that. I'm sure Taz was laughing his butt off, happy as a clown. He said, hell, if he wins it, I have no problem with it. So that sets it up. However, while that was happening, Joe and Hook made their presence known. Of course, talking about their little crap of the learning tree, all this. And of course, Shibata with his usual thing. And he said, oh boy, this guy sucks. But of course, Joe head-butted Jericho. So we will see those two teams face off each other some point. So we'll see what happens. Now, our next match, we have Zack Sabre Jr. He takes on Kyle O'Reilly. Now, Orange Cassidy was in the commentary booth talking. Of course, he had some great advices. He has Taz about submission, since he's good at that. But at the same time, in the ringside, we do see members of the United Kingdom, more specifically Roderick Strong, Matt Taven, Mike Bennett, along with the loudmouth prick Gabe Kidd, as always. Now, of course, we did see it was a pretty good match, not gonna lie, but unfortunately, Zack Sabre Jr. was able to pick up the win when he applied a somewhat of a Fujiwara armbar onto Kyle O'Reilly and forced him to tap. Now, Orange Cassidy left the commentary booth to check on Kyle O'Reilly, but of course, Roderick Strong, who wants Kyle O'Reilly to join the fold, he's been trying to pursue that. However, things were getting out of hand, and then of course, TMDK appeared out of nowhere, and then Tomohiro Ishii, the only one who's still standing next to Orange Cassidy, was there. I wouldn't be surprised if Trent Beretta gets his lights knocked out if he does run into him. So we'll see what happens until then. Now, our main event, we see Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay. They take on the Gates of Agony, Bishop Khan, and Teo Leona. Pretty good match, I have to say, but they did coexist it very well. And then, of course, Swerve Strickland and it was the Hidden Blade by Will Ospreay that took out Teo Leona just like that. And then Swerve gave him the belt, and then Swerve just knocked him out, showing him who is house. He thinks that Will does not have what it takes to carry the company in his shoulder. He thinks that he is not a killer like him. But we'll see what happens at Forbidden Door. And I think we are done now with all our reviews, so I believe it's time to move on with our last and final thing, news updates. welcome to our news update. So this is what we have. Now for our GCW updates, we have of course this coming Saturday for Crime Wave on the 29th of June in Dallas, Texas. It was announced we're going to have a very interesting tag match. We have Joey Janela teaming up with Mega Bane to take on Los Macizos. So this is going to be an interesting match to watch. Not because I say so. It's because, as you know, recently we did see Mega Bane in a match against Joey Janela. But however, this little twist is because if you ever seen the Macizos, these guys bring out all the plunder. And I don't know if Mega Bane can handle it, but we'll just have to wait and see. Now, as you know, recently on the last news update, on the last episode, I mentioned it, GCW has a brand new show coming up on August 31st in Chicago. Live Fast, Die Young. They just announced, of course, the Pink Striker from Tokyo Pro Wrestling, Miyu Yamashita, will be appearing. Now, as you know, we have the collaboration between West Coast Pro and Oasis Pro for the Dennis Richmond Invitational on the 29th of June. They announced for Zara Sakira will be in the match against Jaguar Montoya. So, don't know if this is part of the tournament, but we'll see what happens. DP Deadlock Pro Wrestling, as you know, they announced for the Tag Festival event that'll take place on July 7th. We have, of course, a match for that tournament, Above the Rest versus Miracle Generation. So that's going to be a very interesting match. Now, House of Glory has announced for the upcoming high intensity event on the 26th of July. They announced Zilla Fatu, the son of Umaga, will be making his House of Glory debut on that day. So that's going to be fun. Now, Illinois promotion DREAMWAVE announced for the Choose the Summer Night that will take place, of course, on August 3rd. Minoru Suzuki has been announced his debut to be participating, and he will face a guy named Vic Capri. So if you guys are from the Chicago area, you guys should be getting tickets for that. So that's going to be fun. And then finally, we have a new collaboration once again with West Coast Pro and United Wrestling Network. They're calling the show called Bring the Pain, and this will take place on September 24th. So mark your calendars on that until we get closer and closer. We'll see who will be participating. Now, for some interesting developments, first things first, I want to give two congratulations to two people. You may or may not have aware, Rhea Ripley and Buddy Matthews are now married. It explains why Rhea Ripley has been out. Same thing with Buddy Matthews. So they just got married. So congratulations, guys. But however, they're not the only ones that got married this past weekend. If you guys know these guys, Rico Gonzalez and his partner, now husband, AC Mack, just announced their marriage as well. I'm not ashamed to say this because I have nothing against gay people. I say they're good people, and I'm happy for these two guys. I know I've seen photos of them together. So congratulations, AC and Rico. So just like Rhea Ripley and Buddy Matthews. So congratulations, guys. Now moving on. As you all know, this coming Saturday we were on Collision. It was announced that Mansoor and Mason Madden, MXM, will be making their debut. However, Fightful Select learned that there's been recent talks between both MXM with AEW. Now, we don't know for sure if it's the talks of signing them. Who knows? But we will see what comes next. Now, speaking of signing, TNA has announced that Saints and Sinner are now officially signed with TNA. So if you guys ever seen them, they showed up in promotions such as Prestige, Defy, and other locations. They normally hang out with Alan Angels. I wouldn't be surprised if they do something together there, but that is something that is a possibility. Now, for those who know this past Monday, Pat McAfee was not involved in this past episode of Raw. The reason is he was absent due to the passing of his father-in-law. It's very understandable, so my condolences to Pat McAfee and his family, and of course his wife's family. So I hope you guys are okay. Now, Many of you may know this guy named Matt Camp. Recently, he was part of the Bump, where they did interviews with many wrestlers. Well, apparently, he had some interesting to say. Now, people are talking. There were many times where people say that WWE is like a family. Well, Matt Camp would like to say that those words are load of, pardon my language, a load of horse shit. So yeah, that's what he says. Okay, guys, I'm not making this up. This was actually posted. This is what he had to say. WD did not put any announcement out. I just disappeared. I just disappeared off the Bump. I disappeared off the shows. They made no mentions of it, which immediately I thought pretty much, pardon my language again, shitty. I'm not asking for future endeavors things or anything like that, but you know that tells you what family means. When you work for a company that it doesn't mean shit. You're you're a number and that's what I was. I understand that. But that whole family and we're family, it's a total horseshit. I had 3 weeks prior to my release. The Rock showed up at the headquarters and tell me that what's a big family this is and handshakes. We're so happy to have you all on board. Went through these town hall meetings after a bunch of cuts happened, and it was like you're still here for a reason. Then you're gone, and people get let go. People get let go. That was part of the business. I get that, but that whole family bullshit and Rock's like, let's take a picture with everyone in it because I want to show that that is what I was here. I'm in the picture, and then I'm not here for a couple of weeks later. It's all who's making the money. What's the bottom line? Wow. I don't blame him. I don't blame him. But it makes interesting how things are going on. But yeah, so I mean, we did hear something like that with Amanda Hubbard, John, what's his name, Brody Lee's widow. So I understand that. Now moving on. As you know, there have been rumors about Shane MacMahon possibly will be going with AEW. Well, Tony Khan had this to say, saying that he's always welcome. I heard the rumors that he might be interested. I never met Shane, but we have a lot of mutual friends. I have a lot of respect for him as an executive and professional wrestler. Shane's always welcome at AEW. Well, seems Tony Khan doesn't mind having him around. Nice of him. Now, recently, as you know, Saya Kamitani has been dealing with a lot of things, especially what happened with Queen's Quest this past weekend at the conversion. Well, certain people had some things to say about her. One of them is Risa Serra. Now, Risa Serra, as you know, defeated her in the Catch the Wave tournament, and she had this to say. It was a tough win. I'm glad that you didn't let fate of your unit weigh you down. I want a little more taste of Saya Kamitani. We will fight once more, so let's give it everything we got in our next match. I'm looking forward to July 3rd. So Risa Serra is completely aware of what's been going on, but she's glad that whatever's going on with her, well, it did not phase her. So we'll see. Now, Micah, as you know, Saya Kamitani has defeated Micah many times before, but Micah said that she invites Kamitani to join Nexus V. Now, I highly doubt that Kamitani would do that, but this is what she had to say. If you continue to gain sympathy like this, you can come to EXV. We don't have a high speed wrestlers, so we can claim aim to the world together. But until now, I've always tried to motivate the slacker Kamitani on every occasion. For now, I'll give you a good kick in the ass in Shinjuku. So she feels that, she's a slacker, and of course, the high speed title, it makes perfect sense. I mean, it's no secret. Mina did the same thing too, talking about the high speed, but it never came around. I mean, this happened when Saki Kashima, after she was expelled from Oedo Tai, that sort of thing. She wanted her to join, but of course Kashima joined God's Eye. But she also had another thing to say. She criticized Kamitani for carrying the Queen's Quest flag at the Catch the Wave, and she said that she should let the Expel members back in Queen's Quest and her out. But this is what she said. She had never entered the ring carrying a flag in any official match until now. It looked like she's trying to gain sympathy, which was sneaky. She said she would protect Queen's Quest right up till the match. But seeing that made me think that what's important to Kamitani, it wasn't Queen's Quest, but only the members of Queen's Quest. If both are important, she should have let the people who were expelled back into Queen Quest, and there's nothing in the contract that says that it was not allowed. I mean, that's true, but however, how will that feel? Because if Micah sticks her nose where it doesn't belong, I have a distinct feeling that Oedo Tai is not going to let that slide. And I'm sure Natsuko Tora will make Micah's life a living hell. That is something we could. But Kamitani has the heart of Queen's Quest. Many of you would agree with that. She's not just going to let it go. But however, it is what it is. There's nothing she can do. Kamitani can do. But Micah, maybe she thinks that she can change it because she's the champion. But if that's the case, then she will be in a whole lot of trouble if she does. So we'll see what happens down the line. But as of right now, I think we are done with everything, with our news updates and of course our reviews. So I believe it's time to call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed this episode. Coming up, we have TNA and Ring of Honor to look at. Now, haven't decided yet what I'm going to do beforehand, but I'm thinking about catching up with Got to Move and other events. I haven't catched up to anything because at the moment this entire week has been very, very demanding due to, of course, to my regular day job. But I will talk more about that, about my something that's going to happen for next month, and I'll explain it to all of you. But we'll see. But so right now, that's the plan. The priority, TNA and Ring of Honor. So we'll see what happens from there on. But as of right now, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.